it starts at the top. Like I think the WSL, they want to package surfing and make it viewable or understandable to someone who doesn't surf. And I don't know if this is true, if they're having these conversations with the judges behind closed doors or whatever, but they've definitely like the last 4 or 5 years have like scored a lot on like big sections and like spray, which is like things that you and I don't really care about, but like someone who's watching can go like, oh, it's a big wave, and like they threw spray that doesn't know about surfing, and they can go, oh, that's a 7 and that's a 6. Whereas like why are you scoring someone who rode a foot bigger wave and did something basic way higher than someone who's like pushing themselves and pushing the sport really on like a foot smaller wave? It's not a big wave contest, like, you know what I mean? Or someone who had a closeout, like for the last like 3 years, if your wave didn't have a closeout, it was like capped off at like a 6.83.
Yeah.
So it's like, as surfers, you and I or anyone, they don't go out looking for a closeout. It's like the weirdest thing ever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why are you going to score closeouts?
Yeah. Is there a way to objectively judge, or to even design a criteria to objectively judge surfing? Because in my mind, it almost, the farther we go down that path, it's like, it's a futile effort.
Yeah. It's like the field goal kicker. You're just like, you just want to chop off their head when they don't make it.
Yeah.
But like all the other times they made it, it's like, oh yeah, you did your job. Okay, bye, buddy. Where's the quarterback? Sure. So yeah, it's a nightmare of a job. They're standing in the sun for 9 hours a day, starting at 6:30 in the morning. So I don't know. I just really like progression, and maybe that's a little bit biased because whatever, but I like watching progression.
Let me ask, we all criticize the WSL on the internet. The locations we criticize, the bloated structure of the tour seems unwieldy.
Yeah.
The judging we criticize at times. What are we misunderstanding? Like, you've spent a bunch of time on tour. Obviously, there's logistics at play that we're not considering. Where do you feel like they're actually doing a good job and we're misunderstanding as the critics?
Well, I think the main thing is like, if the WSL goes away, where are we at? Like, so we should all be a little bit grateful for that. Because if it's not here, then it's probably, we're just like boogie boarders or something, without any sponsors or tour. It's kind of like, okay, what are we doing? I also think they do a great show. Like, it's pretty good to watch. Like it's, the broadcast is amazing. I just don't think, like, the whole thing is like they're trying to expand, and it's probably the issue with what happened with the brands too. I'm not really sure, but they're trying to expand and sell to people that don't care, or package it to people who don't care about surfing. Whereas when you do that, you start to like piss the people off that do care about surfing, and nobody's going to watch whatever, that doesn't surf, Sunset Beach, especially that doesn't surf. They just don't care. Like, it's just work, football and baseball, whatever it is, and hanging with your kids. Like, even me, just since being off tour, I'm like, oh, it's on. Like, okay, whatever. See who wins. Like,
interesting.
You know what I mean? Because people have lives. So I just think you gotta water your trees. That's the whole thing, and you gotta make it good for the people who already love it.
What would that look like to you? What would making it look good or watering the trees look like to you?
I have like a crazy point of view on it a little bit. I mean, I think they need to make elevate the surfers, make them look like rock stars. I think in the 80s and 90s, like surf in, Andy, like surfers look like they look like Hercules, or they look like Led Zeppelin. Like, it was incredible to be a surfer. You just looked amazing, and you're at the beach and you're sexy and you're tan and all those things. So I think they need to go to places where it elevates them. Like, I think that they should have, tour stop at Steamer Lane for sure, the natural amphitheater of it, and it waters the roots of the sport. I think Huntington's great. I think it's absolutely crazy they don't have any sort of event in Japan. So just things like that. I think they need to like look at it like that.
Why don't they have an event in Japan? Why don't they
I don't know. Maybe it's too expensive. I don't know. I think maybe they try to do both sides too much, have like J-Bay where like no one watches and it's like in the middle of the night, but then also like Margaret River, that's like a pretty bad wave, but it's like free because of the government. So it's like they're trying to like play both sides instead of like, hey, we're going to France in the summer and we got fucking the Foo Fighters playing and a free show and we're going to have a raging party and we don't care if you cuss and we're going to have fucking Chaz commentate it. It's just going to be fucking kumbaya parties on the beach.
Can I tell you, I want to tell you my thoughts and then I want to hear what your opinion on it is. I've always felt, because I grew up in that era as you did, where like those are the people that I admired too, Andy Irons and all that sort of stuff, and the rock star mentality. Chris Ward for me, I was like, it's not who I want to be, but that's who I want to surf like.
I want to watch him.
Yeah, exactly. It was very apparent to me, and even more so now with the version of the WSL that we see, man versus nature is the initial conceit of surfing. Man or woman versus nature. Yeah. It's compelling. And the Middle America audience that they're chasing understands that. They watch 100-Foot Wave on HBO, that sort of thing. Yeah. And me as a core surf fan, when I see that clip of John at Sunset the other day, I'm like, that's everything. Yeah. Did you see that wave?
No.
The Wax Head put it up on their Instagram account. It was like, he's riding a 6'3", double overhead sunset, massive carve out the back, long barrel, 2 big hooks on the inside. And it's like the wave has so much playing field and face, and he's navigating it beautifully. They're just speed, power, flow, beautifully executed.
Perfect surfing,
Kicks out of the wave. I'm like, that's
I've probably seen it.
Okay.
But
no, you'd remember if you did, actually.
No, I'm just saying, like, I've probably seen everything you just said, but it's in one wave or whatever, I can picture it really good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So first wave of this session on a 6'3", like absolutely 12-point
when
rate.
Everyone's riding a 7.0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my point is, man versus nature or woman versus nature is all that the WSL needs to aim for. And so you put people in good waves and it's compelling. All the drama's built in. So you don't need to manufacture any drama. You don't need to create a Final Five scenario. It's just...
Final Five is funny.
Right? Yeah. And so what specifically the point that I was trying to get at was, you're saying they're spreading themselves too thin, trying to grow the business in weird ways.
Yeah.
What I've noticed is just a real lack of a visionary at the top. If you have somebody at the top who understands, and maybe their concept might be wrong, but like in my scenario, the concept is man versus nature. Okay, aim for that. What events do we have? How many people do we need on tour? All has to fit through this goal.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell everybody how to achieve this goal.
Yeah.
I feel like the CEOs that we've seen have been a little wishy-washy or a little windsocky because
kind of like what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neither.
So Dirk Ziff's either telling them what to do or what ideology they want fulfilled.
Yeah.
And the CEO's going, okay, I'm going to help you and I'm going to like placate these people over here and we'll take some money from this government, do an event here, but we have a sponsor over here, so we'll do it over here. And it's well, now you're servicing nobody or very few people along the way. You know what I mean?
Totally. So I like your idea of that, but it's just hard to like, when you go to places, swells are 1 day, like, or 2 days.
So that's why I said the tour is too bloated.
Oh, okay.
If you have 32 people and you need 2 swells to run in, and then men and women, now you have even more. It's too, and that's super expensive for the WSL to even organize.
No, totally.
So if you had a smaller tour that was just the elite, there could be a great feeder system tour, but if you just had a smaller number of surfers on tour that could run in one swell, kind of solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, for sure. But you'd almost need like 8 people. Like, how do you're rearranging everything if you're going for that.
So that's what
you almost need like a roving Final Five in a way, because that's how long that takes, is 1 day.
So imagine that. Who are the best 8 surfers at Cloudbreak? Let's let those people compete at Cloudbreak. Who are the best 8 at J-Bay? Let's get those people there. And the feeder system sorts it out. When you said, where would we be without the WSL? I'm like, I don't know. Starting fresh sounds great to me.
I think there needs to be more people on tour. So
really?
Yeah.
Explain why.
I just think it's already so hard. Like, how are you going to, these people, they're not going to like you're saying, the kids aren't going to sign up to be surfers if there's only 8 people on tour or 12 or whatever. Like, it's already like way harder to be a surfer than to be like on a major league baseball team or a football player. Like, so I just think, I don't know. There should be more. You know, I guess it'd be a great show, but I'm just not, I wouldn't vote for it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like the final 5 everywhere, you know, it's like, or a couple more people, you know, the final 8.
I guess if I understand what you're
but
saying.
You'd have to like rearrange it fully to where like the tour that qualify for that was like a great thing.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
That would be the only way to make it happen, or to even figure out who those 8 surfers, best surfers are at a given spot.
Yeah.
But in my kind of fully actualized version of that, that would be such a compelling event that it would actually engage more sponsors, more money, more eyeballs, more interest, that there would be more money in the sport that would then feed that feeder system. And in the end, you would actually get the goal that you're looking for. But if you just double down on the version that they're doing now and just pour money into the losses and expand the tour, now you need 3 swells to run in, you're never going to get to that. That's kind of the way I see
the way they have it now is like, you have these like 11, 12-day waiting periods, and there's like always a day where it's bad. Like actually bad waves. So it's like, why even have the waiting period? Just run a 4-day event. Because like people are surfing in bad waves. Like last year at Bell's, like John against Cade, like it went dead flat for 17 minutes. And it's like, okay, bye. Like going back to Hawaii, and why even have the waiting period? Let's just do it Thursday to Saturday and save everyone their whole life, you know?
Yeah.
Because I did 12 years on tour. You sit around like, it's like occupying your brain tour, you know, because you got to like sit there and, you know, first round's on a Friday and your next heat's on the next Saturday or whatever. Like, it happens all the time.
Well, so is that the best use of the prime of your life? If your goal is to surf and get barreled and progress your craft, is it best to spend the prime 12 years not surfing great waves?
I don't know. Everyone's different. I love being on tour. I love like, I'm trying to get back on tour, so I can't like potty mouth it too much. But yeah, I think just the competitive feeling of that is like, you know, something to strive for every day, all that sort of stuff. You know, like I said, keeping my mind occupied of my weight and my fitness, my flexibility, like how sharp I'm surfing, all that stuff is like awesome for me. But other people, you know, like a Dane, he was over and he was done. And, or other people are just on the hamster wheel of the tour and they fucking hate it. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of those guys. So I don't know, or people don't even compete, you know, after they're 15 years old.
Yeah.
So everyone's different. For me, I loved it. I love like fucking, you know, beating Gabriel or being, you know, getting revved up for a heat with all those big names, all the, you know, the guys that are going to go down in history. Like, it is rad. So